believe these are the same, so I'm just going to pick up one of those, and that's going to then cover the server. That didn't work, so again, just give it a save up there. All right, so now we have 8-channel, so our MVR or our server is covered. I'll get rid of that. One thing I didn't add in on our takeoff was the 24-inch monitor. So I do have one here, so I've got it included, so we don't have to worry about that, but we know it's included. So we want 4 internal dome cameras. So in the description, it should, there we go, indoor VF is varifocal, so it means it's got a motorized lens, and dome, so indoor dome. So we just go with 4, so we change it to quantity of 4. Don't need mounting brackets for those, they will mount straight to the ceiling internally. External dome camera 1, so outdoor dome camera, so that's our external 1, and our bullet camera. There it is, varifocal bullet. So 1 bullet with its mounting box, 1 outdoor dome with its mounting box, and our 4 internals. Now we work with the averages of 50-meter runs per camera. It works out to 650 is 300, so that would take us just under 305. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that 610. I'm going to round up the nearest, just an extra amount, and make sure we've got enough cable there based on how I explained before, and we've got all those covered, so we can get rid of this. Now, what we don't have is our milestone licenses. So we do have a milestone catalog. So this is all linked to our suppliers. Now, X-Protect corporate base license. So we'll go back to our scope of works. And so we've got our Dell CCTV server. We've got our milestone X-Protect corporate software and licenses. So we now come back over here. So X-Protect corporate base license, we need 1 base license per system, and then we need device licenses per device, so there's 6 devices. We'll also include the X-Protect, which just gives them some extra backup and support. So we need 1 of those and 6 devices. So that's our licensing. And what I'll do is, similar to what we did for the access control, is I'm just going to drag those up to the top. So we now have our server. We have, I'll put that up top. So we now have in order, so our server. So just to go over our scope. Dell CCTV server, including hard disk drive capacity with 60 days playback history. So we've got calculators to work out the hard disk drive capacity, and we'll work through that. We've got our licensing. So milestone X-Protect corporate software licenses, we've got that there. We need to include a Cisco PoE switch, so just a small PoE switch, so I need to go and sort that one out. We have our Hanwha 1080p IP CCTV camera, so I can change those camera models, but I'll leave those for the moment. We have our monitor, and we've got our cable. So, of course, the integration to integrity. All right, so let me show you the integration to integrity, and that's why our scope of works is great, because it just triggers us as we're checking things off. It triggers us to go back over and include things that we may have missed. So I need to include, as you can see, there's lots of items in the catalogue relating to integrity. But what I need is the professional to business license. So you can see here there's these licenses. So we've got our Express, Professional Express, Express Professional. So these are the upgrade costs. And there will be one here for professional There's the business and professional business. So there's our upgrade. So we'll grab one of those. Now that includes 16 camera licenses. So with the 16 camera licenses, we have got our 6 cameras covered. So there's no further requirements. If there was more than 16 cameras, we would then need to add in, and this is only when there's an integration to Integrity, but we would need to add in the extra 8 CCTV camera licenses. So 17 or more cameras, so 16, so up to 16 is included in the business license. 17 to 24, you would need this, and then vice versa. So 25 to 32, you would need another one of these. So just multiples of 8. And that's pretty much it for this one. I'll go obviously grab our commissioning and testing. So the same as in the access control alarm. System of this size, because it's got the integrations, it's got all of the other bits and pieces that go along with it. I'd actually need to make sure there's labour associated with that. I'll have to do that. I'll do that now quickly here, but in the back end I'll change that so you're not having to make any of these changes yourselves. But there is labour that will go associated to this, to the software upgrades, that kind of thing. I can take off 15 minutes to put a back box on the camera. It's just giving us some time, but an hour to do one camera is normally fine. So we can just spread that across, or we can make this 0. We've set up the hours to suit, you know, having to maybe install these items as a single item rather than part of the project. But 1 hour per camera is typically enough for us to do what we need to do. Once again, 2 hours per 100 meters. We've got enough hours there to rough in that cable. 16 hours on commissioning and testing. Although it's a small system, it's quite in-depth system with the software licensing, the server, that kind of thing. So setting that all up does take time, making sure it's all right. Just pushed us over, or is pushing us up, and this is where we have to balance these hours out. So 40 hours is what we're aiming for. So we'll just add in our hours here, and our miscellaneous figure of, we'll go with $260 miscellaneous, just 1% of our total. And that's pretty close to done. I will come across here and just double check. I'll show you these cameras, and then the PoE switch. So, and I'm going to hope I have Cisco PoE switch. We sure do. We might just go for the 10 port. We don't need anything more than that. It's only got 6 cameras. That's all we need. I'm going to throw one of those in there. I'll do a separate training on how we select the switches and that kind of thing. It's pretty basic, and I'll try and set the takeoff templates up so you're not having to guess. And please just ask if you're not sure about something, just ask the question. More than happy to help wherever I need to make sure you're able to do what you need to do and feel comfortable doing it. Because I've added in that switch, I've bumped the hours over 41 now, so I just wind this back, and I will show you the 1080p hardwire camera. So inside of the catalogs, we have more items. So 1080p is the equivalent to 2 megapixels. So when I'm choosing the cameras, I'll come in and try and find 2 megapixels. So 2M that's a 2 megapixel camera. So we're looking to change. We would be changing those cameras to 2 megapixels. There's another 2 megapixel camera, another 2 megapixel camera, and we would choose the cameras based on this is pretty much the same model that we're using for the 5 megapixel cameras, but in the 2 megapixel version. I'll create the takeoff template for that, so a 2 megapixel / 1080p or 5 megapixel, so that it's really easy to select and you're not having to go scrolling through all the catalogs. But in a nutshell, that's CCTV built. I will go through after I finish this video and just swap those cameras out to make sure that we're using the 2 megapixels and making sure we are in line with the scope of works and the info that we're providing. But that really is a quote built. So I'll go in the background, I'll manage my totals, and I will get those to balance. So I'll round them up to the nearest 50 cents usually, just to make the numbers even when I'm submitting. But yeah, really that's it. So we've run through the takeoff, we've run through pushing across into SimPro, selecting these cost centers, pushing it to SimPro. We've run through how we piece together the scope of works from the specification and where to find that information, and then lastly putting it all together in SimPro. This would be about the point where I'd expect it to get sent across to me and just be raised to say, it's ready for you to look at. And all of the notes then that you've provided, I'll be going through using those notes, the takeoff, all of that kind of information to make sure that I'm comfortable with what's put together, and then tidying up anything that needs to be tidying up. I might adjust some margins here and there to make sure we're staying competitive. But yeah, this is where I'd like to get all of the tenders delivered to this point. And really I'm just then coming on the end and piecing it all together and sending it off. Hope that all makes sense. I'll send this across to you shortly for you to look at, and yeah, we'll keep working on it. Thanks again for all your help.